What up? This is Finance, Fitness, and Folk channel. We discuss finance, a little bit of fitness, talk about some folk. So today's episode, I'm going to discuss the reasons why you should file your tax return. So admin notes, thanks again to all subscribe to the channel. I endeavor to keep putting these out, keep it leverage, do better yourselves. So let's get into it. So the reasons why you should file your tax return. So one of the reasons why I would say that you should probably file is because it's the right thing to do, right? I know it sounds kind of cliche to a certain degree, but in all seriousness, in the grand scheme of things, your taxes is what keeps your city up. It keeps your area up. Before it's like, you know, them pulling taxes out of your paycheck, and then they use this money to pay for transportation, public transportation. They pay for the maintenance of the grass and all these other buildings and all these other facilities they have in the city itself. So, you know, I think some folks have an issue with paying taxes. I mean, I don't have an issue with paying taxes, honestly. But another issue I think that some folks may have is that it seems like the poor gets taxed more than the rich. And I mean, to a certain degree, I mean, that is true. But the rich or the wealthy have ways of limiting their tax liability. And I can get into that in another video as well. But one of the reasons why you should file is because it can get you in trouble if you don't file, right? The IRS is not playing. They're gonna come to your door, and they're gonna see about you. I'm gonna say it again. The IRS is gonna knock on your door, and they're gonna see about you if you don't file your taxes, right? It may not be tomorrow, it may not be a month from now, a year from now, but eventually it will catch up to you, right? The IRS is not something to play with. So if you have a W-2, or you know, you're a sole proprietor, or in any way you actually made money, and that money was not taxed, you need to file a tax return. That's just bottom line, right? One of the other reasons why you should probably file, and this is for folks that may have not made any income during that particular year, that tax year. Let's say you're a senior citizen and you're drawing Social Security, right? So only money you're getting is Social Security, and Social Security, from what I can tell, is not taxed, right? But let's go back to the pandemic in 2020, and the stimulus checks that was being issued out to folks, you know, that filed tax returns, right? So even though you may have not made any income the year before or that particular year, had you filed tax returns, your name would have been on that list, or your Social Security number, however you identified, would have been eligible for you to get that particular stimulus check. Basically, it puts you in the system to say that, you know, even though you may have not made any money, you still may have been eligible for, you know, a particular some type of refund. That sounds kind of crazy because if you haven't worked anywhere, you didn't pay taxes, it doesn't seem logical for you to be able to be owed some money. But the government works a little bit funny when it comes to that, right? So, and it could have worked for not just senior citizens. It could have worked for, you know, somebody that was 17 and they didn't make maybe barely $10,000 a year, because there's a certain threshold that the IRS looks at as far as like you needing to pay tax, needing to file or not. You know, and I can't remember what the threshold is, but I believe that once you don't make a certain amount of money, the IRS kind of leaves you alone, and they don't require you to file taxes. But you should still file, because there's still programs in the government that you could be qualified for if you file a tax return. Now, going back to what I was saying about senior citizens, that, you know, they get Social Security. They don't get W-2s, right? So how do they file their tax return, or how do they file taxes? That's something you need to go to a tax expert and ask them. If you are a person that for whatever reason you like I said, you made less than 20,000 or maybe less than 10,000, and you don't have a W-2, but you still want to file taxes, go to a tax expert and ask them, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But all in all, filing your taxes is just it's just one of the things that we just have to do in life, right? Now, as a caveat to that, let's say that you're a business owner, whether it be full-time or you have a 9-to-5 job and you have a business on the side, and you file taxes for both. You file taxes for your personal job, and you file taxes for your business. There's a way, and the wealthy and the rich do this. They do tax write-offs, so their tax liability is not that great. So, for instance, let's say that your personal business made $70,000, but you have all these tax write-offs, meaning that you're writing off your gas you pay in your car, you pay to fill your car up for the business. You're writing off anytime you went to a business function and you ate lunch or you ate dinner. You're writing off equipment, like there's certain equipment that you may have to get for your business that is tax writable, meaning that the IRS is not going to count that as income, right? So your tax liability overall may go from $70,000 to $50,000, right? But the IRS, but the banks look at you actually making only 50 because you had all these tax write-offs to take away from the 70 that you actually made in income. So that can actually affect how much money the bank is willing to lend you, because you have more lending power if you had more revenue. So that makes sense, right? So if you made 70,000 and you wrote nothing off, the bank's gonna look at it like, okay, you literally made 70,000 a year. So we're gonna give you a loan based off of how much you made that year. But if you write off $20,000 worth of money, the banks looks at it like, hey, you wrote off all this money, so we're only going to give you a loan based off of what you actually said you made based off your tax write-off, which would have been $50,000, right? So it can be kind of a catch-22 when it comes to writing taxes off. But there is ways that wealthy people and people that know about taxes are able to manipulate certain things, not illegally, but legally, for them to be able to have a lower threshold as far as taxes liability. That's the reason why a lot of folks, I think, was mad and upset about Trump not showing his taxes or saying that he didn't pay tax. But he has tax lawyers that were able to actually write off a lot of his tax liabilities. That's the reason why he probably didn't pay as much tax as what the average person would have paid. Sounds kind of unfair, but that's the way things work. You know what I'm saying? And in the money game, it's all about how much money you can make and how much money you can keep. And the way folks are able to use taxes to keep their revenue it's legal. It's not illegal, right? But anyways, those are some of the reasons why you should file your taxes. There's a reason. There's a way you can actually benefit from filing taxes based off the getting income, getting a return, and also being able to qualify for certain programs as you not file your taxes. So take what I say with a grain of salt, and don't avoid paying taxes either. Don't avoid filing taxes if you already have a W-2, because I'm telling you, the IRS is the boogeyman, and they don't play around, all right? Like, comment, and subscribe. I endeavor to keep putting you out. Give you leverage. Do better yourselves. Find Fitness and Folk. Triple F, I'm gone.